Thank you so much for joining me for yet another update. I say Happy Workers' Day. So, coming up next is the message from His Excellency, the President of Zimbabwe, Mnangagwa, and he is saying that the challenges for you, our workers, and for your families have grown bigger and harsher. You have had to endure them with utmost pain. Let's listen to the message.
A day which we, alongside the United Nations, have dedicated to honoring workers. The United Nations set aside this day out of a recognition of the critical role which the workforce plays worldwide, be it in families, in our communities, and in our nation. Indeed, outside what God created in the beginning, all things great and small come from human creativity, labor, and effort. At the center of that universal creative effort is the worker, those men and women we today honor and celebrate. Happy Workers' Day, dear Zimbabweans. I address you at a time when labor relations and labor protection have assumed grave, life-threatening dimensions worldwide. Whereas in the past we used to worry about fair wages for a day's work or worry about skills and unemployment, yes, worry about the life of a worker beyond its active productive phase, that is in retirement. Today we face a menace of unimaginable proportions. We face an overbearing global threat from a highly infectious, contagious disease we now know as coronavirus. The pandemic continues to blight millions of lives, claiming hundreds of thousands worldwide. As I address you, more than 3.2 million cases have been reported worldwide, and of these, over 225,000 have since succumbed. Recoveries stand at slightly over 1 million worldwide. What breaks my heart is that many from these staggering numbers of infections and deaths draw from the global workforce, prominently our workers in the health sector. In our case, infections now stand at 40, with 4 deaths recorded since the outbreak and 5 recoveries so far. By global comparison, we are still fortunate, even though the pain from lost loved ones is great and as acute as anywhere in the affected world. The pandemic is real and its spread is extremely rapid. We therefore are at great risk. As your president, I wake up every morning agonizing over the daunting prospect of an ailing workforce, or to a frightful yet real grim chance of one more worker having succumbed to the pandemic. We have to avoid this at all costs. We cannot afford any more loss of life than we have already borne. This is why your government has had to take very tough yet unavoidable measures to safeguard life. Those measures may have brought our nation to a complete standstill and our economy to virtual shutdown. The challenges for you, our workers, and for your families have grown bigger and harsher.
So we have cut short the message. However, there are 6 important things that have been mentioned, and here they are.
Let me share with you my thoughts on ensuring greater security and satisfaction to our workforce.
both because of COVID-19 and because of the sheer instability of our economy for the foreseeable future. A paradigm shift in respect of worker welfare has become more than necessary and urgent. We must think beyond wages. First, we must ensure our workplaces meet World Health Organization public health standards. No sector or subsector must be exempt from this requirement, which must be enforced both in the interest of workers and that of greater society. Going forward, public health yardstick will be foremost in the way we organize our businesses, all business premises and workstations. Second, we must ensure proper personal protection, equipment, and facilities at all workstations. Again, this must be in line with World Health Organization standards, which our health inspectors must enforce vigorously. The health inspector shall be a key persona in industrial relations and at all places of work, which must be repurposed towards public health exigencies and goals. Third, we must include in the workman and woman package issues of health care giving. That makes the issue of disease and virus containment and cure much more than a private family affair. It is as much an issue for the employee as it is for employer and government. Our issue together, all our health facilities must match the demand for health services by our nation, both by way of numbers and by way of capabilities. Again, this puts the worker at the center. Fourth, a well-housed workforce is a bulwark against epidemics and pandemics. Good, well-spaced residential housing scheme is the best panacea against diseases. In saying this, I am not shooting down high-rise residential projects. Rather, I'm emphasizing that such housing schemes should not translate into untidy, overcrowded, and unhygienic settlements devoid of proper public spaces, adequate amenities, and recreational spaces and facilities. Fifth, delivery of public utilities and services in both urban and rural areas must match up and meet public health standards. To that end, our planned urban renewal programs mooted in Mbare and subsequently launched in Mutare's Sakuba high-density suburb should henceforth receive attention and matching resources. They are, after all, habitants of our workforce, which deserve nothing short of livable conditions which approximate the world they create for our society. A broad, multifaceted, all-encompassing social program must be put on the table, with the private sector involvement being enlisted and encouraged through various incentives. Above all, our municipalities and rural authorities must rise to the occasion so we make our built-up environments livable. Sixth and last, from a consolidation of all of the above, every employer in whatever sector of our economy must and should think beyond the weekly or monthly wage. Over the years, we have realized how easily erodable wages are especially in times of economic shocks, destabilizations, and instability. Now we have this new dreadful factor of a global viral pandemic. Clearly, the years ahead show all this as the conditioning norm for global businesses, in which case we are best advised to cushion the worker through a more resilient, shock-proof system of reward and resilience. The bottom line is that the worker must have food, shelter, and must be able to afford health services while being able to send her children to school. This, dear compatriots, must be the new thrust and ethic for us all, whatever sector we play in. Before I conclude, let me say a word or two regarding one sector we have barely paid attention to. Sometime last year, I held an indaba in Bulawayo with players in our creative industry, the artists. Generally, this is an industry which thrives on crowds by way of musical shows, performances, markets, etc., etc. Expectedly, the extended national lockdown has denied this vital sector the crowds which are its lifeline. I am therefore instructing Minister Honorable Kesti Coventry to make a proposal to government on how best this sector can be helped post-COVID-19. Let me conclude by again thanking our workforce for producing and sweating for our nation. Without your dedication to work, our economy can never recover. In the same vein, I want to thank you all for abiding by the very difficult measures we put in place to safeguard our nation and with it, your families, which were at great risk from the COVID-19 pandemic. The battle is not yet won, and we should not lower our guard. Let me also heartily thank all our employers for standing by and supporting our entire workforce during the national lockdowns. This makes for good industrial relations, indeed for stability at workplaces. Above all, to thank employers most heartily for generously contributing to the national response to the COVID-19 challenge. You rose to the occasion in a true Zimbabwean fashion, thus making the load a lot lighter for our government. Let the lot of the worker continue to receive our uttermost attention and support.
So that was the last part of our president's speech, where he tied also the entertainment industry. Until we come back again with more updates, please stay safe. And once again, happy Workers' Day. Ciao, ciao.